Hi, I am Jordan Walming, applying for the Adopted Community Scholarship, I believe. I wanted to talk about how adoption has affected my life and how it impacted it in any shape, way, or form. I was adopted originally from Guatemala at the age of 3 months old. When I was adopted by a very loving couple, Darlene and Lee Waldman, and now I am part of their family, the Waldman family. Um, Growing up, being adopted was not all that different for me. When I was younger, I didn't really think too much about it. I could tell that I was slightly different from my family, more dark skinned, more darker hairs, you can obviously tell. But that didn't stop them from loving me. They loved me with all their hearts, just as they would love any of their other children that they had. Um, and actually, most people, when they found out that I was adopted, were not distraught. They were not thinking that I was a black sheep or just someone, an outcast. No, they were actually more or less curious. They were always wondering where I was from, who my actual parents were. They were just very curious, just like I was. As I got older, I realized I wanted to know who my family members were too, and that was one thing that always did come to me in the back of my mind, even when I was younger sometimes, was who were my actual parents. So being adopted, you feel that. You feel that you want to know who your actual parents are, who you were before you were adopted. Some of you may know because you were adopted later years. Some of you may not know. You were like me. You were adopted very young, so you had no idea. But once I finally learned and I learned who my mother was, it gave me a sense of like, well, I know who I was, but this is who I am now. So being adopted helped me kind of feel like um it made me kind of feel like I didn't have to live in an old skin. This is my skin, this is the person I've made. Just because I have a name somewhere else, just because I was known by someone else, does not mean that's who I am. I have to say I am very, very glad to be part of my family. They've provided so much for me, and I feel it sometimes when I look at people, other kids, or on the news, and that, they're struggling, they're out there, and they're not very well taken care of, and I feel it because I know that I could have been one of them. I could have been trying to find scraps or beg for money, do something to just meet ends. And so I'm very, very proud and lucky to be where I am now. My mother, who actually adopted me, is adopted herself, so not only did she want a son, but she felt the same connection that I sometimes feel to others. And that feeling of like, you know what it's like, you know that you're not part of someone's family originally, but they still want you to be with them. They still care about you in their own way. And I'd have to say that being adopted it's made my life interesting. Because I'm not part of the family I'm with now, but I love them. We fight just like any other family. We have ups and downs, good and bad days. But overall, I wouldn't change it for the world. And I am more than grateful that my mother has adopted me. And that she's adopted herself, because that made me feel even more connected to her in a way. Because it's like, well, not only am I adopted, but you are adopted too. I'm I know what it's like sometimes for all of you who may watch this. It's hard to understand who you are when you're adopted and you just want to learn more about your past. And that's good. It gives you closure, but at the same time, all of us who are adopted, who are part of this community, we understand that it's the people we are now, that we are with our families now. So, I understand. And I'm very happy for where I am. I can't say that being adopted would make my life, or being adopted has made my life much more interesting.